Tell me what your life was like before you died.
I was walking down the street one day and there's a homeless man jumped out in front of me. He looked like a typical homeless man, stringy hair, scraggly beard, dirty slept-in clothes. But I didn't go around him because he had these amazing, dazzling, sparkling blue eyes that shone like two little blue stars. And his eyes were sending me this wave of pure, unconditional love that just basically infused my whole body with an amazing sense of peace, security, and well-being. It was like I never felt that good before in my life. It was just an amazing feeling. So I was like a deer caught in the headlights. I don't know how long I stood there. Then he broke the spell by saying, "Why are you here?" And then he disappeared into a nearby store. So when I collected my wits finally, I went into the store to try to find him, but he was nowhere to be seen. I walked back out in the street, walked up and down for several blocks trying to find him, but he had disappeared into thin air. So that night I resolved I had to go back to that same street the next day to see if I could find him. I wanted to know who he was and why did he stop me. So went back to the same street, same time of day, hoping to find him. After searching for about 15 minutes, I finally spotted him sitting all alone on a bench. So I went up to him and I said, "Who are you and why did you stop me the other day?" And he said, "I'm a soul just like you. I'm here to help you on your journey and answer your questions." And then my skeptical lawyer brain kicked in. And I said, "Why do you think you can help me when you can't even help yourself? Because it looks like you've been sleeping on the street for weeks and you smell like a dead fish." Well, he gave me a big smile and said, "Looks can be deceiving because you look like you're a successful corporate lawyer with everything under control, but we both know that's just a facade." He said, "If you want to, turn around and go back to your office and see if you can find all those answers you've been seeking all these years on all those emails from your clients waiting for you on your computer." Well, my intuition was screaming at me that I had to sit down and chat with him. I mean, what did I have to lose? Half an hour of my day? So I sat down on the bench. We began a dialogue. He said his name was Albert, and he was one of my spirit guides in disguise. So that's how I met Albert. Spirit guides are basically like our coaches in the spirit realm. Every one of us has several, 2, 3, some have more than that. Spirit guides, they're our celestial coaches. They signed on to our that job before we incarnated, and they're there to try to help us steer us on the right course. The right course being the one we had planned for ourselves when before we incarnated, when we developed our life plans. So they know what's in our life plans. We don't know what's in it. So they try to send us subtle messages to steer us on the right course, especially when you come to a fork in the road. You have to decide, do I go take the left fork or the right fork? They're going to be blasting everyone with messages to say, this is the one you should take. You should take the left one or you should take the right one, whatever. The trouble is that their messages are very subtle. It's like flashes of intuition, gut feelings, coincidental events, that kind of thing. So most people don't even know they're getting the messages, or if they get them, they don't know where they're coming from. So that's why life on Earth is so difficult. But they're always there with us, and they're always trying to help us have a better journey on Earth. So that's who spirit guides are. They're like our life coaches. It's important if you sit quietly in a room, meditate, try to unclutter your mind from all the other thoughts that are churning through. We all have a lot of thoughts churning through our minds every day. Try to quiet our minds. Then the messages from our guides will start to come through much more vividly, and we'll be able to understand them more and hopefully then be able to act on them. So there's no magic way. It'd be nice if I could just give everyone a phone number to say, call this and you'll get your spirit guide online. It doesn't work that way. So it's really a struggle for people to hear the messages, but meditation is really the best way to do it. No, I didn't meditate with Albert. He came into my life because he wanted me to have direct contact so I could write about what he told me in my books. So that's why I have the direct contact. But for most people, it doesn't happen. Most people aren't aware that they have spirit guides, but they're there, and they're there 24/7. They never leave us. They're always sending us messages, and they're like, they want us to have the best journey possible. And they get frustrated when people don't hear their messages or don't act on them. See, what happens a lot of times, you get a message from your guide. It may come as a flash of intuition, a feeling that says, I should do this. Your human mind has its own agenda. It doesn't know what your soul has planned or what the spirit guides want you to do. So there's conflict all the time. Like it comes to the fork in the road, your guides may say, take the left fork, and your human mind is saying, no, take the right fork. So you have this constant battle. And obviously, your human mind doesn't know what's best for you. It just thinks that it does. What was a struggle was a major transformation. And after I met Albert, I didn't tell anyone, not even my wife, that I had met my spirit guide. And then when I started And when he said I should write a book about what he had told me, I was a bit taken aback because I had never dreamed of writing a book. But anyway, gently persuasive, he got me to write the manuscript for my first book. And then when I finished it, I had a decision point, like, should I throw it in the drawer never to be seen again, or should I get it published? Because I knew that if I got it published, my former law partners, clients, other colleagues, some of them would think I'd gone crazy. And so there was a risk there that I could lose a lot of my old friends. And nobody likes to be labeled as being crazy or senile or whatever. So I had to struggle with that. Finally, I just said to heck, I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to get it published. And I'll recognize I'll lose some people. And I did. There's a lot of my former friends who don't talk to me. They don't say to my face that they think I'm crazy, but I know they're thinking that. But that's just the way it is. But the good news is that I made a whole lot more new spiritually enlightened people, friends. And so the overall has been a very positive change for me. But I struggled with it because I thought, do I really want to have my old law partners think I'm crazy? Not really, but you have to move on, and so the transformation has been amazing. I've never looked back, never regretted it. And so I just charge along. And so after the first book, wrote 4 more, and here I am at book 5, finished. I know it was a risk, and I did have to pay some of the price for that. But I was successful, so my career had been built up, and so I was fine. A year after I met Albert, I just retired from the law because it didn't make any sense to me anymore. It was irrelevant, So I just retired and started writing my books. But there's no move that you make that doesn't have some risk associated with it. In this case, it was a fairly big risk from going from a successful corporate lawyer to being a new author trying to write books and find my way in the spiritual world. So it was a bit of a struggle, but it absolutely was worth it. And I'm just a much better person. Before I was a type A, stressed out lawyer. Now I don't have nearly the same stress, and I understand who I am, where I'm going, and what I should be doing with the rest of my life. So it's very comforting at this stage of my life. Well, the biggest revelation is that we're all eternal souls. A lot of people already know that, but we came here not because somebody put us here. It wasn't God or the universe saying, okay, Garnet, you're having this life on earth. We chose it. I chose my life, you chose your life. We don't remember that, but we did. We through our life plan, we pick out the place we're going to be born, our names, identity of our parents, siblings, and other relatives. And so we came here to learn and experience things. And so when you look in the mirror in the morning and say, who am I and why am I here? The answer is you're an eternal soul, and you came here by your own choice. Nobody made you come here. So if you don't like what's going on in your life, or say, who put me here? You put yourself here. So that's a real big acknowledgement. The other thing was that, in a lot of religions, God is sort of the person who's manipulating things, making things happen or not happen. So people say, I will pray to God because I want to pass my final exam or get over my disease or whatever the heck it is. But the God or the source does not manipulate things. So they don't change things and they don't make rules. And so, I was raised as a Roman Catholic. There was all kinds of rules that I was taught that we had to follow. If not, we'd go to hell. Well, God doesn't make rules. And there's no judgment or punishment in the afterlife. So no matter what you've done, everyone goes back to the spirit side. So there's no hell, no punishment, no judgment. So that's a huge difference from what I was raised with in terms of, and a lot of religions are that way. The Christian religion and the Muslim and Jewish religion, same thing. You have to be a good guy or you're going to go and suffer punishment in the afterlife. Well, that doesn't happen. So that's like a game changer. It's like, and my spirit guide always tells me, it doesn't matter how many times you go off course or how many mistakes you make, you're always going to go back to the spirit side. Then you can regroup and decide, do I want to incarnate on planet Earth again? Or do I want to go somewhere else? Or do I just want to stay on the spirit side and enjoy the blissful joyfulness of the spirit side, which religions would call heaven, but I like to call it spirit side. So it's their way of holding our feet to the fire. Because if they say you can reincarnate as many times as you want, so then you can say, well, okay, if I don't feel like following the rules in this life, it doesn't matter because I'll come back and have another chance. They want to get rid of that second chance. They want to say, you have one life, you better be good, or else you could go to hell forever. So that's their way of keeping the pressure on everyone in this life because you only have one shot. In reality, of course, that's wrong. You can reincarnate. They don't want you to know that, and that's why they reject the idea of reincarnation. Well, apparently, from what I can understand, the early Christian religion at one point, before they sort of developed their policy against reincarnation. There was a movement within them to say that we should support reincarnation. Then they decided at the council to say, no, we're not going to do reincarnation. So it was a very conscious decision on their part to say no to reincarnation. We came here to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. And so the source doesn't care what we do. The source is just a passive observer. So we put ourselves in these lives. We want to accomplish things, our soul does, but the God doesn't care what we do. And they don't care whether we're good or bad or indifferent. There's no absolute right or wrong in terms of the source. Okay, so we have rights or wrongs that we set for ourselves through our souls, but the source doesn't get involved in that. It doesn't have any goals for us, doesn't have any rules, and there's no judgment after we die. So the source is sort of a passive observer, which is really contrary to what most religions believe, which is that the source wants us to be good and wants us to do things that they put us on this earth for, but except the source did not put us here, we put ourselves here. And in fact, the souls in the spirit side who are watching what's going on, they have the right perspective. They do look at lives on earth like a play. And so you're very right. I mean, if you're acting in a play on Broadway and the script calls for you to stab and kill another actor, when the curtain goes down, you don't get arrested for murder because it's just play acting. So the souls in the spirit side say, you could be a real bad dude on earth, but when you come back here, it's a totally different perspective, and you have a chance to regroup and go back and try to do better the next time. So that's how they view it, as like life on earth is like a play. To us, it's very real. It's not like a play, but that's just our perspective. Our souls, well, they're on the spirit side. They were created, they spun out from the source, at various times. There's new souls being created all the time. And when you spin out from the source, the idea is to go out and explore the universe, try to find what it's like to incarnate in physical life forms. Earth is just one of the places you can incarnate. There's billions of planets that have life forms you can incarnate there. A lot of us may have come from other planets before coming to Earth. Earth is one of the toughest schools. But so our true home is the spirit side, where we're beings of energy, very high vibration rate, and that's what our true home is. So, but you can't really understand what life is like as a human on Earth until you incarnate into one. So it's like on the spirit side, you have book learning. When you incarnate, you have hands-on learning. Then you can really experience what's going on and what life is like as a human. Not just part of our evolution. We want to advance our souls, and in order to do that, you often have to incarnate into a physical form. So you incarnate into a human form. Not an easy life. Earth is one of the toughest schools, but we do that with full knowledge of what we're getting into. And it's like a challenge. It's sort of like, why do people want to climb Mount Everest? I mean, nobody's making them do that, but it's a challenge, personal challenge they want to do. Same with the souls and the spirit side. It's like, I know it's a tough life, but I'm up to it. I'm going to meet the challenge. I'm going to incarnate. And so that's how they think. And no one forces them to, but they also know it's a very brief adventure, because there's no linear time on the spirit side. There's no past or future, just the present. So a lifetime of 80 years for a human on Earth is just like the blink of an eye over there. So they just say, okay, well, I'll just take this brief jump into a human body. I'll be back before you know it, and you get on with things. So it's not a very troubling aspect for soul and the spirit side to jump into a human body. I mean, when we're sitting here and we say, well, why are we here? And you can wonder, why would someone choose to be a blind beggar in Calcutta? It seems like awful. If you can choose where you want to go, why wouldn't you be Prince Charles? And Albert says, you won't understand it as a human, but you had good reasons to choose the life you chose before you incarnated. And when you get back to the spirit side, after your physical body dies, all this will come together. You realize what you put in your life plan. You realize what you try to accomplish. You'll say, okay, how many of the boxes did I tick off? And if I didn't, there's some that are left unchecked. I can jump back in. I can reincarnate as many times as I want. And when I get tired of incarnating, I could just stay on the spirit side. So it's not looked upon as being a big challenge to incarnate as a human on Earth. It's just a sort of a brief adventure to the people on the spirit side. So that's why they do it. We travel in soul groups. We interchange positions, as you say. One time you're the father, next time you're the daughter, and we just keep on trading positions. And that's so that we get every aspect of a human life as possible. So you incarnate as both genders, a number of different positions. And a soul group is just a handy. It's like a theater troupe traveling around the country. It's sort of like, okay, you're going to take this role this time, and I'll take this role, and then the next life we'll switch it around. So it's just a handy sort of family group where you can always find somebody to fill your role. So if you want to incarnate somewhere, you can say, okay, who wants to be my parents? Who wants to be my siblings? And you always have volunteers within your soul group because they know that you will volunteer to be in their life. And so it's just a very handy arrangement. Well, my mission is to spread the revelations that Albert gives to me, to write books about what he shows me in my astral travels, in our dialogue. He wants me to help enlighten other humans by reading my books. That's why that's my mission now. Write books, spread his revelations, try to help humanity in that way. And that wasn't my mission when I graduated from law school. Then my mission was, or at least I thought my mission was, to accumulate wealth, get a big house, 2 cars in the garage, and all that sort of thing. But then after I met him, I realized what my real mission was. But my law practice was just a setup for my second career, which is spreading because I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have, had established myself. So now I can do the real mission in my life, which I didn't realize until I met him. Now it is to spread his word, spread the light.